Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest things people tend to fall for, which is get rich, quick / easy programs. I see them all the time. I even see them advertised in books, where it's almost you have to pick out the information that's, actually information, unless it's just advertising their own program. So, well, first of all, we'll start off with if becoming wealthy was easy or quick, everybody would be wealthy. It's not a quick process, nor is it easy. It requires perseverance. It requires very strong mindset, and the willingness to keep going despite what gets in your way. There's you need to expect obstacles, and it's not just I'm gonna read this get rich quick program and all of a sudden no obstacles, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna be wealthy in like a week. It doesn't work like that. Otherwise everybody would be doing it. Which I think something to really remember is, even if you see someone who's supposedly wealthy, you can kind of make the judgment yourself whether they provide enough information on themselves, to make them a credible source, but how much they actually make selling the programs versus their teachings. That's something huge to remember. You never know how much of their actual wealth is from just selling programs. For all we know, they could have never applied their teachings if they don't, provide any backstory of themselves at all. So why should we trust them? Because at the end of the day, they could be an unreliable source, and they could just be making more money off the programs than the actual, for example, a real estate program, let's take that. They may be making more money from the program than actually they're investing, real estate portfolio themselves, which is kind of ironic, but that's the case sometimes. Another thing I find in a lot of programs that you need to look out for is overcomplication. A lot of the times they make it they actually overcomplicate, so then it makes it feel like you need to keep looking because you're like, oh, I don't know this. When in reality, a lot of it can just be explained with common sense. I would look out for like vocabulary words that could be easily substituted by other words. Usually if you see that, it makes it essentially a sign they're trying to make it seem more complicated than it actually is. So, that's one of the reasons I think I'll just go ahead and throw a book series out there. Just an idea is like the Rich Dad series. I feel like that's just a really good series that doesn't overcomplicate. They're straight to the point. That's why I read all of their books, because I enjoy them. They're not overcomplicated. They're not throwing out words to make it seem like it's way harder than it actually is. See what I'm saying? They're not trying to overcomplicate the information, because you'll be reading some books. One book will explain it common sense, business-wise, and you'll read one, it seems like some rocket science over here where some dude's like explaining some complex, whatever. You don't want to read books like that. It's just really, it's annoying. I don't like it when people tend to overcomplicate just to get the reader more involved, because at the end of the day, they won't sell a book if it seems like it's common sense. So they may overcomplicate just to sell it. Another thing I look for is like lack of self-information. If they don't provide a lot of information of themselves and their own success, then I'm counting me out, because there's been books that I've even looked at, or even, people have explained, like, they don't even give that much information about themselves, and they just start talking about their so-called students' success, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know if these people paid, if they're paid to promote your product, I don't know. But first of all, what have you done? Where's your success? I want to know about some of the properties you purchased with this technique or so-called, ideology. So that's definitely something to look out for. And I would also look out for words like, I don't know why, but when I see invest, books and stuff going, oh, my students did this, students. When I see the word student, I start to get kind of sketched out. I don't know why. A lot of the books I've seen with student, it's just, they're shady books when they're like, oh, look what my student's done. Oh, it's like, show me what you done, otherwise I'm not gonna read your book. That's just what it comes down to. You start seeing stuff like that. For example, I read this one Subject to book. I forget the complete name, but it was about Subject to financing. So the first half of the book was actually it was pretty good information, It was just kind of a baseline of how Subject to works. Second half of the book, I'm not kidding, 100 out of the 200 pages was legit his students applying this method. And I'm like, where's the pages where you applied this method? You know what I'm saying? I want to see more on you. So that's just something to look out with a lot of these financial programs. Just be aware and make sure you're getting your source from reliable sources. I've always been the biggest fan of books. You know what I mean? And I think another thing that's kind of also funny just to throw in there is that a lot of these people claim to be insanely successful real estate investors, yet they're overpricing their programs completely out the wazoo. It's like, I mean, if you're so successful, why do you need to overprice your program so much? You know what I'm saying? I can just, and a lot of these programs, you know, they could be going for thousands of dollars, but I can go to the bookstore, get a $15 book, and you'll have the same stuff. What do you know? You know what I'm saying? So just go ahead and just remember that and make sure you're getting your wealth knowledge, I could say, from a reliable source. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.